We're back, episode number 2 of these mini interviews around the world and what's happening now. If you like this channel, follow this channel or leave me a like or whatever. We start with the U.S. We talk to Ward, Ryan and Brandon from El Cap, Earth Track, Granite and Movement, setting directors. Then we go to Canada. We talk to Kaleb Thomas from Ale Up. Then we go back to Singapore. We talk to a friend of mine who's about to open a gym right now. Then we talk to a dear friend of mine who's unemployed right now, or like he doesn't have anything to work. Jake, Yoke, I love you. Stay tough, stay through this time. Then we go back to Germany. In Germany, we talk to Peter and Juliane. Juliane is a podcaster, freelancer as well. Peter is one of the managers of the biggest climbing gyms in the world, and he's heads it up for 4 different gyms. And then we go to Liam Lonsdale, a well-known British expat living in San Francisco right now. So let's dig in, and tomorrow, promised, Studio Blockmaster action again. So let's start talking, listening, and then from tomorrow on, action again. Bye-bye.
I'm Ward Byrum. I'm the director of Routesetting for the East region for LCAP. LCAP has 3 brands under its umbrella currently. So the Movement in Colorado, Earth Treks, which has locations on the East Coast and Central region, Colorado as well. And then Planet Granite, which is West Coast, so from Portland down to LA.
My name is Ryan Sewell, and I'm the director of route setting for the Central region for LCAP. So it includes essentially Colorado, which has 5 locations, both Movement and Earth Treks brands.
And my name is Brandon Conaway, and I'm the director of route setting for the West Coast region.
Okay, that sounds huge. So you are managing a lot of different facilities and many different setups as well. And what's the situation right now? Is any of your gyms currently open to the public?
No, none of the facilities are currently open to the public as of, last Monday? So it would have been March
16th, I believe.
Yeah.
15th or 16th.
This is when we closed our doors, yep.
And I don't, like in some countries in Germany, some of our gyms get reset and cleaned and stuff like this. Can you tell me what you are doing right now in your gyms?
When we close the facilities, we close it with the intent of just quarantining the facility itself. So the only people coming in and out of our facility at all is just like a maintenance person or someone that wants to check on the facility. And they're doing that maybe once or twice a week tops. Other than that, no one is entering the gym. And that's just an effort to not encourage our employees to interact with one another and to encourage social distancing practices. And so it's forcing us to then find other ways to connect with our teams and stay productive.
When it comes to teams, as far as I know, in America or the United States, you don't have that many freelance setters, right? Is your whole team full employed, or how does it work?
Yeah, we don't have really, to the best of my knowledge, within our regions, any freelance setters per se. Everyone is employed by the company. And that ranges all the way from part-time, so somebody who works maybe 1 or 2 shifts in a week, all the way to full-time 40-hour-a-week route setter positions.
And excuse me if this question might be above your pay grade, but what's happening right now? Like, do you know how long all your setters, your setting team can be on the payroll? Do you know, or are you allowed to talk about this?
You know, LCAP has made a really strong commitment to support all of our team members as much as possible and for as long as possible during these closures. So all LCAP employees were paid in full through the end of March, I believe, or through the end of the March payroll, which I think ended like April 5th or something. So every LCAP employee is paid in full through them, which is like a really huge gesture on their part. And we're all like super grateful to receive that level of support. Obviously, that may not be sustainable indefinitely. So they're working on strategies of like how we can continue to support as many, if not all, team members for as long as possible to the highest degree possible under the circumstances. Definitely, it is sort of our major mission at LCAP to continue to support the team members first.
Just to add to that, it's been pretty incredible to see that level of support, and just keeping in mind that as a company across LCAP, there's well over 1,000 employees. It's definitely a substantial group of individuals that are valued to the level that while the businesses are not operating, they are still being compensated.
I don't know that much about the American market or the United States. I just know that not all of your citizens have a health insurance. Is this like usually covered if you're employed by, let's say, a climbing gym?
So we currently offer, different benefit packages based on the number of hours an employee is working. And so there are certain benefits that a employee will be eligible for when they attain that full-time status within the company. So something along those lines, such as health insurance or some sort of subsidized health insurance backed by the company, along with a number of other benefits, would be something that our full-time employees would be eligible for. What that looks like right now during this time, I think there are maybe a lot of questions being asked that I can't speak directly to that kind of go through HR right now. But essentially, that would be covered under a full-time employee like benefit package.
Do you know what the other gyms are doing or how they are dealing with the situation? Is there any interaction in between gyms or setters right now?
I mean, I think any imaginable solution is being mobilized at the moment. So there's some gyms that, all gyms in the U.S., as far as I know, for the most part, are closed now. Maybe Ryan or Brandon could correct me if I'm wrong, but it's certainly trending that way, that all of them will close if aren't closed already. Some gyms, I think, are using that opportunity to, hopefully in practicing social distancing, still coming in and doing resets or working on maintenance projects that normally they wouldn't, that would be disruptive to the member experience. So they're able to capitalize on that. The members aren't able to come to the facility and maybe replace flooring or front desk revamp and things like that. We're choosing to engage our team more remotely at this time. Once we feel comfortable allowing people back into the facility, then we'll be able to come in and start doing some of those projects or resetting facilities as normal.
Yeah, and in terms of the overall impact on route setters across the country, it just varies based on the organization in which that person works. So some companies have not been able to sustain the ability to pay their team in full. Some aren't able even to pay them in part. And so the compensation is drastically varied based on the climbing gym that you work for. But overall, I don't foresee there being a large amount of like inter-route setter communication happening at this time. I think everyone in the U.S. is currently just trying to understand what does this mean for me personally? What does this mean for our society? And what does it mean for the not so distant future? Through the month of April, what are we going to do? If this continues into May, then what are we going to do? Because we're all pretty real with ourselves and knowing that we work in a non-critical industry, right? We're not in healthcare, we're not in the military, we're not, industries of that nature. So we're just trying to do what we can to take it day by day and foresee into the next week when possible.
Yeah, how do you feel about like not being able to work like day-to-day basis in your gym?
Yeah, it's interesting for this group of us because we might actually be working more now during this time than we were before. The level of communication internally that's taking place amongst our team, and then both from the teams above us and with our teams who we monitor and who we work with day to day, is substantial. I mean, we're in dozens of meetings a week. We're sending out, at least 50 emails every week. It's extensive, just to try and make sure that everyone's getting the answers that they're looking for. But what it makes you realize, what I, speaking on behalf of these guys as well, is that the best part of the job is going into the gym and putting holes on the wall. Like, that's the most fun. This part of the job is certainly not nearly as enjoyable.
We have all this downtime, and so we're trying to utilize the downtime to essentially, we need to come up with a lot of projects or remote tasks that our teams can do, so we stay connected as a team, so that we provide them with some distractions from news cycle and social media. We provide some sense of normality or purpose to what they're doing. They're not just Groundhog Day, like a lazy Saturday, Groundhog Day. And then third, we really want to just capitalize on this increased bandwidth to perform or to invest ourselves into, developing training curriculums, or, the curriculum behind like a member clinic we may teach in the future. The three of us are all kind of guiding our teams and coming up with projects for our teams to work on as like these passion projects that we normally wouldn't have the bandwidth for, that we honestly hope have really big future benefits for everyone in helping to connect our team and develop their skill set, or them to conceptualize route setting at a higher level.
How many setters do you have?
My region has 24 setters.
I think I'm right around 20.
And I fluctuate right around 30, depending on when you were to ask me.
So
we are
75 route setters or so.
Yeah, approaching that triple-digit 100 number pretty quickly as far as scale goes.
How do you
imagine by Q1 of 2021 we'll probably be right at 100 different route setters, and there's some fluctuation with the regional teams, whether or not you have a larger percentage of part-time setters versus full-time setters and stuff like that.
Just one more personal question, like how do you feel in this situation right now?
I mean, honestly, it depends on the moment. Like there are definitely like peaks and valleys as we deal with this emotionally. So there's times where I'm super thankful to, have time at home with my wife and my dog, and in moments thankful for the break of the routine from what we were experiencing before, and to have to like adapt. Like some of that is stimulating in its own way. And, last week we kind of ran on adrenaline to a certain degree. And, like you said, we've been closed a week and a half, but it feels like a month. But then there's certainly downtimes as well where there's so much uncertainty in the future and how it's going to affect our industry, our teams. All of us care very deeply for our setting teams in particular. They're just our people. They're the people that we can relate to every stage of career that they're in, because we have personally been through those stages as well. So we know what it's like to piecemeal a career together as an aspiring route setter, to then being a head setter of a gym, and then us more at a director level. So we care very deeply for these team members, and it's hard to just think about them and to empathize with their situation and their uncertainty as well. So, I think all that weighs heavy on us, and just ensuring that we're doing everything we can to support the team.
Yeah, for sure. Like everything that Ward just said resonates deeply with me. And I mean, maybe the only thing I can add is that feeling you said of helplessness. And it's not so much that it's purely helplessness, like this woe is me type mentality, but it's more that you're at the mercy of, what your local government is expressing you need to do, what the state government is expressing you need to do, and what the federal government is expressing that you need to do. So we're just doing everything we can to take those directives and try and make the most out of them. So there is this sense of eagerness to try and capitalize, which I think we've kind of talked about a lot on this time, and trying to make something out of it that maybe we wouldn't normally be able to. But in general, there's this underlying tension of helplessness, that you're at the mercy of, things that are out of your control, and those are guiding the decisions you're making. And it's challenging, especially when you have a team of people, to Ward's point, that you care so deeply about, that you have to then go back and, have these conversations with.
I mean, I guess to boil it down to one word, I feel maybe conflicted, kind of like Ward was saying. Depending on when you were to ask me, I'd maybe give a different response. I think we're all very passionate individuals about what we do. I would say it's a very passion-driven career or line of work, and trying to figure out how to rededicate that energy elsewhere, have it translate into new ways of supporting our team is really hard. trying to figure out how to be there for each other has been really hard. I mean, something that has been encouraging during this time is I think I speak for, both of you on this call as well, but just the way our company has come together, specifically as our leadership team has come together during this kind of difficult time, has been such a character building or character developing time for us as a company. And it's been so encouraging to see at a time where I think we could feel so helpless, how much strength we've had in each other and pushing projects forward and making decisions together and connecting, like Ryan said, in 10 Zoom calls a day, going through different lines of communication to loop somebody in to what might seem like a simple decision, but trying to make sure that people have a voice and people feel heard in that process. It is encouraging, I think. And that does give me this kind of sense of hope in this time of how we're going to come out the other end and what we're going to look like when we come out the other end. And, hopefully all things considered, hopefully, better than we were going into it, which I think is a huge accomplishment if we're able to continue that momentum and perseverance during this time. So
yeah, kind of adding what Brandon was saying and to set the stage and maybe where we were as a company a little bit. So Planet Granite and Earthtrex merged a couple years ago, and that was under the umbrella of LCAP. We're in a process of blending those two brands of, successful in their own right and, evolved maybe in little different ways, but highly evolved companies, indoor climbing. And we recently have added movement to that fold. And so we're in this process of, like I said, kind of blending the three companies together. So we spend a lot of time talking about our company core values and attributes of those core values. And, this moment is really when we get to prove that, right? Like we can talk about we can talk about integrity, but then in a moment like this, we can actually exhibit that, right? It's no longer just a corporate value on a piece of paper. It is something that we can truly embody and put into practice.
Cool. Guys, thank you for taking the time for telling me and us, on the internet, how are you dealing with the situation? And I hope you will have a good time dealing with the situation and an even better time after your gyms reopen again. So thank you so much. I'll say goodbye for now and see you soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I'm in Montreal right now. I'm in my apartment, and like everybody else in the world, I'm just trying to stay mentally sane.
What's your job in general?
I'm the head Routesetter at Alley Up Climbing Center, which is a gym in Montreal. We also have a bunch of other sister gyms kind of spread across the country under the umbrella called Uplify. So we have a bunch of stuff going on.
And what's right now going on? Is anything still open or going on in Canada?
Well, no, all the gyms are closed and almost everything in general is closed. Right now, almost all the provinces are under state of emergency. So that means we're not supposed to leave our houses except for essential things like getting groceries or whatever, or exercise for health, but not for recreation, for health. So it's okay. People seem to be kind of handling it pretty well for the most part, but it's definitely a little boring,
How is your situation? Are you still on the pay raise, on a payroll? Are you still on the payroll, or what's it like in Canada?
So every gym is doing everything a little differently. So I'm not sure what everybody's doing. I know just from hearing from some friends that some gyms put the employees on employment insurance right away, which is our government program if you lose your job. My gym decided that they would pay us up for a period of time because they weren't sure exactly how long the gym was going to be closed. But we will go on EI at some point, probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It's hard to exactly know, but I know that it's going that way. It kind of depends on how long this situation extends.
And how does it make you feel knowing that you might be not out of work, but
I mean, It's definitely stressful. Like EI here pays you 60% of your wage, up to like a certain amount, which like I think I'm in Montreal, which is a slightly cheaper city in Canada. So for us, like we can survive on 60% here. I think if you're in Toronto or Vancouver, it might be a harder situation because your rent is already probably 40% of your salary. So it's tricky. But I think like, I mean, honestly, I think it's okay. Like we can't do anything anyway. We can't go to the parties. We can't go to the restaurants. There's not so much that we can do. So as long as we don't blow all our money on Amazon, we can coast here for a while on the EI money, I think.
I can tell you, I'm stuck here for more than 1 week already, and I didn't spend any money, so I ordered like 3 new records today just to get rid of money, support Amazon, and get new music.
I know. I've bought several cookbooks. That's been my like little fetish since it all started. I think there's like 3 or 4 cookbooks coming. Thankfully, I had just bought a bunch of new records before this started. So I have like a couple weeks of sifting through what's there before I start spending all my money again on music. But
what is the situation like for your Routesetting team? Like how many people are working usually at your team, at your gym?
So the team has like 4 core setting members, and then 1 or 2 other people that set with us. So we did set 2 days last week, because last week, like our maximum amount in a building was 10. So we did a few things like you see everybody doing. We cleaned a few of the bouldering walls. We set some boulder problems. But then this week they reduced it to 2 people together at a time. So we have to stop work. So yeah, they're all, I guess, at some point, like right now they're getting paid for a little bit and then they'll go on EI just like the rest of us. It's the way it is for everybody, I think. So
yeah. Do you have any freelance setters at all in Canada or in your area?
Yeah, so several for sure. I mean, to be honest, like I make maybe about half, a little less than half of my overall yearly income from freelance, mostly competitions. I personally lost, I guess, 3 competitions because of this, which is like okay, but it definitely is money, you know what I mean? There's a couple people in the city that are kind of pure freelancers. So I'm not sure what situation they're going to land in because they might not be eligible for EI. I think it's going to be similar to a lot of musicians. If those people are reporting their income and they're paying their tax, then they should be eligible for EI. But if they're not filing with the government, then the government's not going to help them right now, you know.
How do you feel about the government handling the whole situation over?
I would say it's pretty good. I mean, I personally like our prime minister. I mean, I think all politicians are at some level shady politicians, and it's kind of to be expected. But I personally like Justin Trudeau. Right now, I think he's doing a good job. He's getting on the radio every day. He's telling us kind of the next stage. And the one thing I was saying to my girlfriend this morning that I really appreciate him versus maybe our neighbor to the south is he's being very honest about his challenges. He's like, yo, we don't know what we're doing. We're going day by day. This is a unique situation for everybody. So like, we're going to make mistakes. So everybody kind of bear with us. And actually for me, that's more comforting. It's like, okay, cool. It's day by day. We hope it gets better, but at least he's not trying to tell everybody like, oh, it's perfect. It's amazing. Everything is fantastic. And
it will be over by Easter
next week. Come on. It's not like that. Like, just be honest with us. It's okay.
Yeah. And yourself or your gyms, do you know what your gyms took kind of like the measurements for your members? Or?
So our gym is doing like an opt-in, opt-out, like I think a lot of people are, because I think like most gyms have had a lot of people writing and say that they want to keep their memberships. But the other thing that our gyms are doing, which is pretty cool, is for everybody that keeps their membership going, they're going to forgive somebody else's. So I think that's really nice because it's making it like, okay, cool. If you're working in the restaurant industry or the fitness public service industry at all and you lost your job, it's okay that you can't pay. But if you're doing these other jobs and you can't afford to keep paying, then it's going to help everybody out. And I think it'll help to keep the gyms above water for a few months here, and we'll see.
We'll see. Any government support yet, like for businesses? Do you know of any?
I mean, they announced a big thing, like just like they did in Germany. I think in Germany they announced $200 billion, and here they put out a package that was almost $90 billion. A third of it was directly for people, like to support the EI, and then the rest was for business. But at this point, it's hard to tell exactly where that money is going to fall. Like, are they only going to support the big business, the oil industry and everything, or is it actually going to trickle down to the small businesses? Like, nobody really knows at this point. I think the biggest thing is that it seems like they're going to make it easier for people to defer their mortgages and things like this, which is, I think that's something that's going to keep some of these gyms afloat.
Do you know anything about the other gyms and other businesses?
I mean, I don't know any hard facts for sure, because I think everyone's trying to deal with their situation right now. It's hard not to be nervous for some of the smaller gyms in expensive locations, or the gyms that are just new to opening. I mean, it's of course worrisome, just because we know that when you open a gym, you're cash strapped for a little while, and you really need that income in the first 3 to 6 months. And hopefully there's some business interruption insurance or whatever that can help these people. Hopefully the memberships stay active. I don't know, but.
And how long are you prepared to last without any setting to do?
Oh my God. I think for me personally, this is the worst part. Yeah, I mean, I do what I do for a living for a reason. It's like really what I like to do. And I think even like I set usually a fair number of days a week. I'm psyched to be in the gym and Routesetting a lot. So it's tough. Yeah, it's like not nice to not have that outlet. And my girlfriend's going to probably kill me in the next week, I would imagine. I don't think she can last with me here for another week.
I hope you will stay alive and will get over these get through these dark times in Canada, and that you hopefully might set again soon. Thank you for taking the time, Kaleb.
Yeah, no problem.
Stay tight and stay
Good
healthy.
To see you.
See you soon.
Yo, later.
Okay, friends, we are back, and today we're talking again with someone from Singapore.
I'm Shihui. Trying to open my own gym, so it's gonna be open in April. It's gonna be open. It's opening in April. Yeah, I'm in the process of opening my own gym. Yeah.
And what are the problems right now?
I mean, a couple of delays here and there due to COVID, but everything seems to be going okay.
Yeah, are your gyms like, so are you still allowed to work and to open your gym and go climbing in Singapore right now?
Yes, but about 2 days ago or yesterday, the government just said that there's this social distancing thing that the gyms have to follow, as in all entertainments and like bars they are shut. But climbing gym kind of falls under a sport facility, so if I'm not wrong, it's one person per 16 square meter. So it's a bit of an iffy thing to actually go and calculate how many people and making sure that the climber and other climbers are not like near each other and things like that. But it's going to be in effect from, I think, tomorrow until 30th April. So with that, I am not too sure how the other gyms are going to handle it. And since I'm not going to be opening yet, what I'm going to do is really just learn from the rest. Yeah.
That's good. How come you open your own gym?
Selfish reason is that I want to have a space for myself to actually train and get better in climbing. And I kind of want to have like all the things that I want, and like being able to teach or help climbers progress. And some of these things are lacking in other gyms. So for example, like a fully adjustable wall. Back when I had the idea of having fully adjustable wall, there was none in Singapore. Now there's one. So things are changing, but I'm happy to say that I'll be having 3. So it's gonna be a crowd.
Are you waiting for all 3 of them, or?
Yeah, 3 of them. They actually got stuck in, I think, Italy or Spain. So there was like a short delay. Yeah, so everything was kind of fine. I was like, yeah, I'm not really affected by COVID because none of my items are from China. And next thing you know, COVID traveled to Europe. Yeah.
What did you do before in a climbing gym? Like, did you work before in a climbing gym?
So I actually do Routesetting at Climb Central for about, I think, at least 3 or 4 years. I actually put up their first route back in I think 2005. I wasn't really a full-time setter back then, but I kind of knew how like the basics of Routesetting, and then I do coaching as well. So with coaching and Routesetting, I really wanted to have a space to really explore what I have in mind and like the whole philosophy of climbing.
So with the climbing gyms still open, like all the route setters are not really influenced by COVID, right? Like everyone can
Right.
still work and set.
As of now, from what I know, yeah, they're all still working. So in terms of setters, I don't think that we're really affected yet. I stopped setting for a while already since it's been about 2 weeks since I last set because I'm so busy with the own gym. But in terms of coaching, personally, I haven't been climbing, and for school coaching, it's a huge mess because all the schools are canceling classes and things like that. So it's basically kind of like a stop in income after I poured all my savings on opening a gym.
Oh, that's a messy situation.
The best time to open a gym, like totally the best time.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah, it's fine.
But in general, in Singapore, how do you feel like the government handles the situation and all the citizens?
I would say really, really good. So right from the start of this whole outbreak, I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, but from what I remember, it was in like about I think 1 or 2 months ago, like right from the start. What the government did was we actually could sign up for like a WhatsApp message from the government. So we kind of go online and put our phone numbers in, and every single night, without fail, I get a very lovely message from the government like, okay, so today we have blah blah blah. So let me take a look at they will say the most standard reply would be like a total cases is blah blah blah, discharge today, total discharge, and total remaining in hospital. So it really helps us like feel like okay, everything is under control, and especially when the numbers were really low, it was very reassuring that okay, we are still very safe to go around and hang around, go to the cinema and things like that because things were really under control. But I think the past week or 2 weeks ago, things started to get a little bit worse. Almost at the same time as the U.S. as well, I think. Yeah. So we've got quite a big number of Singaporeans coming back from holidays, or because I think the Minister of Education actually got all the students to come back from overseas. So from there, we actually had a lot of imported cases, even though they are Singaporeans and things like that. So that's when the numbers started to jump. And for a couple of days as well, we had a lot of people flying into Singapore for treatment. Most of them are from Indonesia. And then just like recently, what they said was we actually are closing the borders to all the other short-term visitors. So that will make a change. But what I see is I think the numbers will keep growing because we still have Singaporeans who are still coming in from holiday or like students and things like that.
And how does it feel in the climbing gyms? You haven't been to any other climbing gym over the last couple of weeks, right?
The thing about the government is they are really, really diligent in making sure that we contain the spread. So what we do is we have like a contact tracing, and then they do quarantine and things like that. It's really a gamble, you would say. So for me, I can't risk being stuck at home for 14 days. The moment you are kind of in contact with a possible spreader or whatever, they actually contact you and you have to stay at home for 14 days. And then I wouldn't be able to go to my climbing gym and get things done. But yeah, we had a really irresponsible climber who went to a gym and then he kind of went on to spread on to about like 5-6 people. Not in the same day, but it kind of moved on from there.
Tell me just a little bit more about your gym. How big is your gym except for the 3 adjustable walls?
So we have about 260 square meters worth of like bouldering wall. So what we have is I requested for a wall that is really competition like what you see in World Cup. You get a couple of slabs, slight incline, you get a super incline, and another phase we have a wall where it's symmetrical. So it allows things like creating a route from both ends and even like racing to the middle and having a totally same route, and that's a pretty interesting thing. We have the train to climb. It will be the first in Asia, and so that's gonna help with all the stunt work, jumping moves. Something that I need to start practicing on again. I think I'm kind of lacking behind over there, and yeah, the
We'll do this
training
when I
area.
come over.
Yeah. Please, we need you over here soon. Yeah, and
I can go into quarantine in your gym.
yeah, maybe we can put a hammock there for 14 days and you can just wash holes and teach and everything.
No.
Yeah, and we have a space for stretching class. So it helps with like mobility and things like that. And what I'm introducing in the climbing community is what we have the animal flow. It started in the States, but it's a ground-based movement. So what I see is that the whole animal flow thing helps a lot for shoulder stability, which I see as an issue for a lot of female climbers. Tend to have shoulder problems because they're not as stable, and when you want to do presses, yeah. So things that complement climbing in general. So it's quite a big space. Yeah.
So what's the name of your gym again?
Lighthouse climbing. Yeah.
Super cool. Yeah, thank you for talking to us, taking the time, and I wish you all the best, that the gyms stay open and that you can open your gym without any further complications. Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you. Yeah, hope to have you really soon.
Bye.
My name is Jake. I'm a freelance setter based in London.
Okay.
And currently I'm in quarantine, as everyone else is, I'm sure.
And what does it look like, quarantine, for you right now?
For me, it's my girlfriend and my cat in quite a small flat in North London. We can leave the house to go and get essentials. We can go to the supermarket. We can go out on our own for a walk, but we shouldn't bump into anyone, you know. Keep our distance. So we're staying home. Stay safe.
What was it like for the gym scene? Like, when did you hear about the virus coming and that you are out of work?
Yeah, so last Monday, I worked at Mile End, and there was confusion about whether they would stay open for the remainder of that week. And then the following day, I was meant to be setting in Cambridge, and that got cancelled. Wednesday, I was meant to be setting in Kent, that got cancelled. And then all of a sudden, you know, all the gyms were closing, all the shops were closing. We're in quarantine. So, yeah, for the foreseeable future, freelance setting is not an option. I haven't got any work for, you know, unforeseeable future. We don't know how long this could last.
Did you talk to other freelance setters in London or England? What's the situation like right now?
Yeah, I've spoken to several. Everyone seems to be in the same boat, just stuck at home without the ability to work because the walls are closed. I know a couple of them that are having to go on what we call universal credit in the UK, which is like a benefit system if you can't work. So unfortunately, that's what I've had to do too, which really it sucks. Yeah, there's also a GoFundMe page set up by Impact Routesetting, based out of Yonder. They've set up a GoFundMe to try and support freelance setters and coaches in the UK over this time. But I don't know how far that money will stretch. You know, their target is $5,000, but there's a lot of freelancers in the country. Could stretch. I don't know.
What do you think? Like, how many freelance setters are there in general in London?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't actually know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's a lot of people that freelance set but also have other sources of income. I don't think there are many fully freelance setters in London. In the UK, I'm sure there are lots more, but in London, I only know of maybe 4, which sounds crazy, huh? Sounds completely crazy. Only 4? No, there must be way more.
There must be way more, but so in general, like most of the London gyms have their employed setting team, right?
Yeah, so in London, most gyms have a small in-house team. Like the Arch, the Arch have a very large in-house team, but most walls will get freelance guys in on most sets.
And do you know about the employed setters and just employees in general? Do they get any support yet from the government?
As far as I know, they do now, yes. So the government has said they'll support small businesses or all businesses in the leisure industry and pay 80% of their employees' wages.
Private question, how long do you think you can hold up like this? Or how do you feel about the future right now?
I've been trying not to think about it. Maybe if it's 3 months, I can get by. I'll go stir crazy in the flat, but if it's 3 months and it has to be 3 months, I can do it. Any longer, then I would want to start looking at other options. Maybe I can get out of the house and do something to help the effort in the UK. Become like a key worker, stack shelves or deliver food. I'd rather do that than sit indoors. Yeah, I don't know. I can last a little while.
Yeah. Are you afraid that any of the gyms might get bankrupt? What is it called? Get bankrupt?
Yeah, I think possibly some of the smaller ones might have a hard time, but if we can believe what the government says, then everything should be okay, right? If the government are really supporting the leisure industry, then they should be fine. But I don't know. I don't know enough about how businesses run.
We're setters. We don't know anything except for.
I just set. No, there's a lot of small new walls that I've started setting for since I've become freelance, and I'm kind of worried that they won't be around when we get out the other side of this thing. But fingers crossed, we'll be all right.
Fingers crossed. Thank you, Jake, for taking the time.
Nice.
And I hope you will survive, get fitter, and have a good time once you're back.
It's going to be fine. We'll get strong. We're going to get really strong.
No.
Hey, I'm Juliane. I live in Berlin and I am a podcaster and I make a podcast in German and it's about bouldering.
And how does it feel like in Berlin? What's the situation right now in your hometown?
In our town, we have not a real lockdown. So it's not forbidden to go out, but it's restricted. So you can go out with just the person that you live in a household, but I can't go out and meet people right now, meet friends right now. So yeah, the situation is that we I with my boyfriend, we go for a walk in the park together, and then you do meet your family on WhatsApp, send each other videos of your cat to have some fun.
How does it feel like not being able to go bouldering anymore? Do you miss it or?
Yes, I really feel that I miss it, not just because it's fun for me, but also I already feel it in my back. So I really, when I don't go bouldering for a few weeks because I'm sick or anything, then really my back starts to hurt. I think a lot of people might know that feeling. I try to do a lot of home training, of course, but I somehow have the feeling that I don't have the right sport that is like really similar to what you do on the wall. Maybe I will find out in these weeks if there's something similar to that, but I really, really miss it. Yeah.
Did you ask your friends, like, do you know how other people feel about not being able to climb anymore?
Yeah, of course. I get these messages a lot. I don't have to ask. I just get these messages from my listeners. And they say, of course, that they miss climbing, they miss the movement, but they miss also the people. These messages, I get them a lot, that people really say it's also their way of meeting friends. So their friends are in the gym. And I also get some messages of people who say, okay, we have, like people say, I have a depression, or problem with depressions. And my way of coping with this is going climbing, going to the gym. And I think for them, it's really hard. And yeah, a lot of people write me that they miss climbing and bouldering very much. And I understand that, of course. And what I try to do is to go on podcasting now. And I really get the messages from the people that this helps in a way. I just started to create content that has to do with Corona and how it affects the climbing scene. But I also think that I should go on make episodes that have nothing to do with Corona, because people also want to know stuff about climbing and not. I already feel that when I try to take a break for a day and not watch my Facebook or Instagram feed all the time, that it helps a lot to not go crazy.
That's good. Do you have enough footage and enough ideas you can still do while this is happening? Or?
Yes, I'm collecting ideas of subjects that I could do with online interviews. I think there are still enough subjects left that, for example, I was thinking about, okay, what do? We can't go bouldering right now, but still we train at home and we eat. And like a lot of people ask me, can you do something about climbing and the proper way of
diet,
the proper diet. So this is something I could do now, an episode on that. So I'm thinking about, okay, what could be content that is fits a little bit to the time, and something that I can do also from at home.
And on the other hand, you're a climber, so a customer of bouldering gyms. How do you feel did these, for example, the Berlin gyms handle the situation? How did it feel from your point of view, from your side?
From my point of view as a customer, I see now that the gyms, you have a membership for your gym, and they ask you to keep this membership even though you can't go climbing or bouldering right now. I see that a lot of people try to ask their gyms, how can I help you? But what also makes me happy as a podcaster right now is that also people ask how they can help me right now. I have a crowdfunding for my podcast, and I see that a lot of people now use this crowdfunding to help me. Just yesterday, there was a new crowdfunder for my podcast, and he said, for example, that he had been bouldering since December. So it's just a few months, and he loves the sport so much, and he says that he also likes my work, and that's, I think, really awesome that the people love this sport so much and have been bouldering for a few weeks or a few months, and now they say I can't live without this, and please go on podcasting because I need something to listen to while I can't go bouldering. Yeah, this is
that's
amazing.
Pretty cool. That's amazing. Do you think this could be an alternative for route setters as well, or other freelancers in general?
Yeah, of course. I think that some people are afraid to start a crowdfunding because it's always strange to ask for help. But still, if you are doing great work and people use what you do, people listen to it or people watch it, there will always be just like a small amount of the people that will say, okay, I will support you with your crowdfunding. But these people who do that, they are also thankful that they are able to help you. So it's not, you should not feel bad about that to start a crowdfunding, but you give the people the possibility to help you, and they like doing that. So it's okay. And I think if you have a product like a YouTube channel or a podcast or a blog, I think you should try that. And now maybe it's the best time to start it. Give the right information for the people who want to help. That's also, I think, useful right now.
How do you feel? Like, how long could you last in a situation like this? Like, how do you feel about maybe more weeks? Is it more days, more weeks, maybe a month or two?
Last with not climbing, or what do you mean?
Before you go insane, yeah.
I don't know. I have ups and downs. So one day I was really afraid because I thought, okay, the financial situation is also hard for me now because I'm a freelancer, and a lot of jobs that I had been doing I can't do right now. So yes, I am afraid, but still I feel like when the work that I'm doing that it helps people, gives me the chance to go on doing that and maybe find solutions. What I'm also thinking about now is there any governmental support right now here in Berlin? They are deciding this week or next week if there could be help for freelancers. That's also something that I'm thinking about right now. Is there something that can help me in this situation? But what actually right now helps me is to keep up my work and connect with the people.
Yeah, I hope you will stay through this time and have a lot of like podcast episodes which you probably can do, hopefully.
Yeah,
And
I will.
then Tokyo is next year, so a lot of episodes will be delayed or just shifted into the future. Yeah. So thank you, Juliane, and see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Hi, I'm Peter. I'm based in Munich. I'm working for a company that runs climbing gyms by order of the DAV, which is the German Alpine Federation. And right now, all the 4 gyms that we're running are closed. My position in all of this would be responsible for route-setting operations, marketing and sponsoring. And yeah, that's who I am. That's what I do. And I've been doing it for 16 years now.
It sounds like you have a lot of setters employed, or are many of them freelancers right now?
Way more than 90% of the setting is done on employed base, so hardly any freelance setters. We like our team.
So you're able right now to support your employed route setters and your team as much as possible, or how does it look like in Germany?
It's a bit complicated with most of the German gyms. It's similar as most of them are employed on a mini job basis. Sadly and unfortunately, what it looks like at the moment, we're not able to support them. But we're hoping that we can open again soon, and then we'll need their full backup and their support. But the reduced work goes through all levels in the company and in the gyms. So.
Are you doing any work right now in your gyms? Like, can you do anything right now when you're closed?
At the moment, we don't do anything. We had one boulder reset in the North Gym in Freimann. We had that scheduled already, so we did it. We reset a whole sector. That was 3 setting days. But other than that, we postponed everything that was planned and are basically waiting and analyzing on a day-to-day basis on what we can do and what we have to do. But it's all a bit vague. Can't really say what's going on.
What does the climbing gym scene look like right now in Germany? Is it like really cooperative because we are like sitting all in one boat, or what does it look like?
In Germany, it's a bit different than in most other countries. From what I perceive is the DAV has a very strong position, and almost half of the gyms are run by the DAV or its regional sections. And it sometimes feels that it's a difference in between the DAV gyms and the other gyms, the privately run gyms. But I don't perceive that differentiation at the moment at all. It's like you say, we're all sitting in the same boat. We all have similar problems. And my perception, talking with some people like Christian Popin, he's doing a lot talking with Benki. There's a lot of solidarity going on at the moment, and everyone is trying to be supportive of each other. So the community of climbing gyms in Germany is very strong at the moment.
So how do you feel about this situation right now? Do you feel okay staying at home for a couple more weeks, or would you just go crazy?
It's hard to say. My workload will be reduced by 80%, so I'm on a 20% workload starting, I think, tomorrow or Monday, which is then resulting in 1 day a week that I'll be due to work, and that on one hand is not a lot, and but on the other hand, I have 3 kids, so they basically need me at home. I need to support my wife. She can't take 3 kids at home on a 24-hour basis all by herself. So being supportive of her, and getting a different feel for everything. I've been working a lot in the months and years leading up to the situation that we're in right now. Is basically like a pause button that has been hit. Everything's kind of on hold, and it has its benefits. But how long I will like these benefits, I can't say.
Okay, thank you, Peter, for taking the time, and I hope you will have a positive outcome and a bright future after this pause.
I'm positive about everything, and like many people say, we will come back stronger, and gyms will be open again, and people are looking forward to it. People don't have to climb or train at home anymore, and it's gonna be good. I'm positive all the way.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Lonsdale. I live in San Francisco. I'm from the United Kingdom, but I've been out here in the US now for just over a year full time.
What are you doing in the US? Why did you move over there, if I can ask you this?
You can ask me anything you want. It doesn't mean I'll answer. No, I'm joking. I moved here for a couple of reasons. One, there's some really big opportunities here for me, and also I moved here because I fell in love, and this is where she is, so got to be done. Full commitment.
That's good. And what's it like right now in San Francisco? Full commitment to work or full commitment to staying at home and doing nothing?
I mean, so my work is as a photographer and as a presenter. I specialize in working climbing competitions. Also, when that's commentary, of course, and then with photography, it's both studio and outdoor, mainly around adventure sports, certainly around climbing, and there is no work. And everybody, of course, for the right reasons, has cancelled their events, so there's no competitions to be hosting or commentating, and all creative work is on pause until further notice, obviously because of the social distancing that's in place here. The whole of San Francisco and the surrounding counties are under what's called shelter in place. So it's essentially a form of lockdown, but it's not quite as strict as lockdown. Being Californians, they encourage us to get out and exercise frequently, because Californians can't survive without exercise. So we're pretty lucky in that we, it's still fine and not frowned upon to be out and about. They just ask that you go from home. So that's what I'm doing. I'm currently just running. There's obviously no climbing. Running as often as I can possibly get out, but family life is the most important thing, and making sure that my little family's safe. And so yeah, the majority of the time I'm here and around our home area, which is in the north of the city.
Oh, that's cool. Have you spoken to any potential future clients yet, which are not your potential future clients anymore?
Yeah, I mean, yes and no. It's a tricky one. I've spoken to a lot of people. I like to stay connected to my community around the world. I have clients that I'm working with already that have cancelled work, and and we'll just see what happens. I have other clients that are really keen to postpone and to pick up where we left off and work hard to kind of make the best of it. And I have another company that I'm working with that see this as a huge opportunity, and I'm making the best of a bad situation, and they're kind of using this as a way to pivot and to change, and hopefully there's going to be really promising work for me out of that. But yeah, the community around the world, I'm not hearing consistent things from the climbing industry, and certainly from like a competition standpoint and route setting and all those things that I kind of have been involved in internationally over the last 10 years, I guess. I'm just not getting like the same answer from everyone, which I find really unusual, because normally people within the climbing industry have at least like a similar like main line that everybody runs on, and everybody kind of runs on that same vibe, and people are saying different things. You know, I speak to people in the UK and they're like, it'll be business as usual as soon as we reopen. People out here in the US, you know, the climbing walls seem to be in like a doomsday scenario. They're freaking out, like, how are we going to keep the gyms clean? How are we going to keep the numbers down? What happens if there's a break? You know, they're really kind of freaking out. And I think primarily that's to do with the medical insurance situation here, and, you know, the liability situation, perhaps. I want to talk to more gyms before I really like dial that in.
Yeah.
And then I talk to, you know, gyms in Japan, where you would think like they're really having a hard time, and they're like, you know, we're open, we just temperature test climbers and that's it, and they come in and it's business as usual. And I just don't know what to think. Yeah, it's like one of the first times, certainly in my climbing career, and my career within climbing, I should say, that I really don't know what's going to happen next, which is, if you look on an optimistic side, it's super cool. Some cool things could happen, but it's also like, you know, there's very real implications for people within the climbing industry.
How does it make you feel knowing that you might not earn any money in the long run, and at the same time living in San Francisco, which I heard of is not the cheapest place on earth to live?
It's the most expensive place on earth to live, is the true fact. You know what? Like, I'm a northern man, so I'm not allowed to have feelings. No, that's not true. Like, if I didn't have this piece of work that's like around the corner with this really interesting company that I like moving, more on that story another time. But if that like wasn't there, yeah, I'd be pretty, can I say shit in my pants?
Yeah, okay.
No, I mean, it's scary. I worry for people, you know, that are, I mean, I'm really lucky that a lot of my business isn't just climbing now. You know, I work in multiple adventure sports as a photographer. Like, I host international trail running championships. Like, I'm doing all sorts of different things. So that whilst it affects everything, like, I feel like having enough different things going on will bode well. But ultimately, I think it just forces me to be more creative about how I get out there. It's scary, man. Like, I worry for the route setters.
On the other hand, what I wanted to ask is, like, you've been around in the climbing industry for a long time, and this rapid growth, do you think like the rapid growth was too fast and too much, and a lot of gyms were like overwhelmed and didn't like were not professional enough, like when it comes to financial point of, like when it regards to savings and stuff like this? Probably.
That's such a German question. Oh man, I mean, I think back to my days in sales, like a long time ago now, and climbing gyms would come to us to try and get our products in their, you know, in their gym as an account, and, you know, vice versa. And the questions that we would always ask the climbing gyms, and the discussions that we would always ask, or that would have rather, were always about this, like, this exponential curve that seemed to be happening in the industry, and, you know, how can the industry sustain this? Will the industry sustain this? And we always talked about the climbing bubble being burst, and would that happen? And that was before climbing was a dead cert in the Olympics. I mean, it was before really there was any big discussion about it. And it seemed that was like just another kick to the exponential curve, and that participation increased and gym numbers increased. And I don't think it's fair to criticize gym management, because, you know, everybody runs businesses differently. There's no right way or wrong way to run a business. You know, would some of the gyms that don't have the savings be able to do like the scrappy, interesting things that they do if they like saved every month? Like, probably not. So I don't think it's fair to blame the gyms. Do I think that this is a premature bursting of the climbing bubble? I don't think so.
Me neither. No.
I mean, I do think there's good. I just think, yeah, like, it's market correction. I'm not an economist, and I don't claim to know much about the economy. Megan knows a lot about it, and we talk about it, and she said market correction needed to happen, you know, in the global markets, and I think that's true of climbing as well. And it's going to be really sad that we lose some of the businesses. You know, in the first episode that you did with Jackie, I was really listening closely to what she was saying about hold manufacturers. We're going to lose hold manufacturers for sure, and, you know, these like small businesses that can kind of do these interesting projects, they'll probably go away. I just hope we don't lose like the core of climbing. You know, there's some businesses and brands that are like really central to it that are small. That
Yeah, but they are the culture and the core. I'm a little bit afraid that there might be some like big businesses or like some rich people be like, okay, I can buy this, and this now. and then we lose a little bit of our core and culture, which we don't necessarily need for climbing, but makes it.
It's what makes climbing special, man.
Yeah, it makes it feel like really good. It's not, I wouldn't say like too corporate, but it's just like, yeah, I don't want to have like McDonald's buying climbing gyms.
No, I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. If I think the market that I know the most about is the UK, and I know of some of the gym chains that have, you know, big money behind them, the potential to be in an acquiring position, you know, to acquire some of these gyms that kind of fail in this period. And even if they did, I don't think it would be a bad thing, because I know that those gyms are like, they have good people in them, and, you know, on the board or in the management team, or even though they have big money, there's still climbing at the core. And I think that's partially the reason that they're successful. I mean, there's one thing about climbers, we're pretty good at sniffing out bullshit. I think you mentioned that you talked to them. It's probably even in this episode, which will screw up the context, but, you know, there's the El-Cap team, right? And El-Cap is like the biggest chain of climbing gyms in the world now.
I think so, yeah.
It's massive. Like, if you just go off square meterage of climbing gym surface, they're definitely the biggest. In terms of revenue, I would imagine they're probably the biggest as well. It's monstrous. Would them acquiring more gyms be a problem? I don't think so. Like, I climb at one of their gyms out here. I've climbed at many of their gyms in Boulder and in Denver and like all over, and they're cool gyms, you know, with climbers working at them. And yeah, if they acquire more, if it keeps people in a job, I think it could be cool. I think the risk of where we lose authenticity is more in the apparel and those sectors, because, you know, a corporate company could acquire like a medium-sized brand, and then who knows?
Yeah, we dove really deep into economical stuff, and I never thought we would talk about stuff like this. But you're a freelancer as well, and do you see potential for other freelancers doing more stuff on social media to share their knowledge and maybe to not benefit from this situation, but maybe profit a little bit more right now? They could have the time to do more stuff, more videos, interviews, podcasts. What do you think?
I mean, it goes without saying, there's so much opportunity. I've been approached by a few different people. You know, someone asked me to do editing workshops online. Someone else asked me to do like interview type things like this. I think ultimately it comes down to time and resource. And my focus is on this little family right now, which is great. And I'm super happy to be doing that, and like working the few hours of the day in the evening on the projects that I have going. I'd love to see people doing creative stuff. Like it was funny because before we had this conversation, I had so many thoughts that I wanted to write down and like put into an article, and maybe I still will, you know, maybe this will fuel it even more, but who knows? You know, I think the climbers will always want to devour climbing content, good climbing content. And I think just because we can't go out and shoot a cool photo or, you know, like document some incredible ascent, doesn't mean that we can't still be creative with the sport, the life that we all love so dearly. Yeah, I'd love to see more people doing stuff. And if anyone wants to collaborate on anything, like open invite, reach out, we'll make it happen. I'm psyched, but like I said, my focus is on family right now.
Then I hope you have a good time with your family over the next couple of days, weeks, and months.
Yeah, dude, I'm sorry you've got so much editing to do with this interview.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine. I appreciate it, and I assumed it because it's you. So
yeah, always talking, always got too much to say.
That's good.
People, stay safe, buddy. Like, look after yourself, and everybody out there, look after themselves. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Oh, that's a good goodbye. Wash your hands.
Don't forget your thumbs. Hey, don't forget your thumbs. People forget to wash them, man. It's a thing.
We'll do that. Okay. See you later, Liam. And
love
have
you,
a good
buddy.
time.
Thanks for all your hard work, man.